Hi, Coach Lora here. Hi Michelle. Nice to see you join. We're gonna talk about hello, Matt. Thank you for joining. Thank you for all the hearts. We are going to talk about winter training. I thought this was a good one. I actually have a list of things to talk about with other things. Hi Sherry, thanks for joining. But definitely the snow is coming in my area, northern Utah. Hi, thank you for joining. Natty Beans, tell us where you're from. But it is going to be snowing here supposedly tomorrow, and I know a lot of places are getting snow soon, so I thought, let me talk about indoor training. Matter of fact, today I was on my bike inside, and so it was raining. Oh, so you're close. Thank you. Salt Lake City, great. And so Bountiful, we're just north, so not too far. Obviously, you know we're getting a bunch of snow too, and we had rain today, and then we're getting snow tomorrow, so that makes for very slick roads. So please drive safe, people. But I thought I would give you guys some ideas of things that you can do indoor, things that you can do outdoor. And I really think even in the winter, I do run outdoor most of the time. I do run on the treadmill maybe a little bit, but I know a lot of people do treadmill running a lot. So I thought I would talk about, maybe give you some ideas on what you could do there. And then other things to do when it comes to winter. I am kind of a fair weather rider for sure. If it's crummy weather, I do ride indoor. It's just safer for me because I've had enough experiences out there that I want to stay safe. So I am definitely an indoor rider there. Rode outside today. It was great. It wasn't too bad today. I mean, it was a little bit of rain, so it's not bad. But it's definitely doable. It wasn't freezing cold either. So I've been in worse before. But a lot of people will get out there as long as they can. I definitely think there is a benefit to being outdoor, even in the winter. And I think for me, it makes me happy to be in the sunshine. So there are some beautiful winter days where it's really sunny, and even though there's snow on the ground, it's very sunny and happy, and I think you should get outside for sure then. A lot of my friends ride outdoor all year. I mean, all year, even when it's snowing, which is like beyond me. I'm like such a chicken. So, but I think it's okay to go inside too. You're not a total wimp. It's okay. So I want to talk about, well, let me give you ideas of things you can do. And since we already brought up cycling, that's definitely what I'm going to talk about. Now, a lot of people like to do like indoor cycling classes, and there is a benefit to that. I think there's the benefit of camaraderie when you're meeting with, having other people and you meet your friends, and sometimes maybe that's the reason you go. For me, I do a lot of my training on my own, at my own convenience, at the times that work for me, at the paces that work for me. And so I set up my outdoor bike on a trainer inside, which I think is most beneficial for me. Hi, thanks for joining, Mel. For me, you're going to get a lot more from having your bike set up indoor. In terms of you're fit for that bike. Thank you for all the hearts. I love it. You're definitely fit for the bike, and it's already going to feel comfortable. I've taken quite a few spin classes, and what I've noticed with spin classes is you're stuck on their bike, and their bikes, no matter how you move the seat, as you can't adjust them very much at all anyway. It depends on the bikes, but mostly you can't. They're very stiff. They don't allow you to adjust, and my bike is so much more comfortable than those bikes. Another thing I've noticed in the spin classes, and sure, take them if you want, absolutely. But I think spin classes, an indoor bike trainer. Yes, I will give you a recommendation for that. One thing I will mention before I talk about that is the indoor or the classes sometimes get you going. I mean, they really get you sweating, and that's great. But really, when you're out there riding, you're not usually having that much resistance unless you're going on hills, and that's great for hill repeats for that much resistance. But most of the time, it's more than you really need. So you end up going a lower cadence than you need. So I definitely think you should be careful or mindful of that if you do those spin classes. What is your cadence? Is it way too low? I mean, you're aiming for 85, 95 is what you're wanting. 95 would be ideal if you can get that. So watch that on the cadence. In terms of what to get indoor, there are a lot of great brands. As a matter of fact, Sherry, you can just, if you find one on KSL, message it to me and I'll look at it and give you my 2 cents on it. But there's a big difference there's basically 2 types of indoor trainers, basically. I mean, there's other ones, but you're looking for, there's either a magnetic trainer or there's a fluid trainer. Definitely go with the fluid. Magnetic is like, you know, when you take spin classes and you take your feet off the pedals and they keep going. That's magnetic. You don't want that. And we'll go through price range in a second. But the fluid gives you a much better workout. It stops when you stop. That's the kind of the trainer you want. You can't always tell with the trainer that's on the back tire, but when you're buying it, you can ask them if it's fluid. In terms of prices, honestly, if you're looking and you can get a used one, you can get one for 100, if you're really lucky, 150 is what you're looking at for a used one. Up to 250. There's definitely better brands. You can pay upwards of 500 for trainers. I don't know if you need all those bells and whistles. They do have some power trainers and some kickers and things that you can get indoor. CompuTrainers, you're looking at $1,000 for those kind of trainers. And so they're quite the range, but depending on what you have and what your goals are, just, you know, $150 trainer would probably work well for you. But if you already have a bike, what's nice about that too is now when you move to outdoor, you've saved that space. You don't have to use it anymore for that bike. So it's dual purpose, which is nice there. So definitely inside riding on the bike is great. Another idea for indoor training is swimming. I know a lot of people are maybe get anxious with swimming, but swimming is such a great benefit in terms of if you're a runner and you want to find some things to incorporate in that will help with recovery, swimming is one of them. And so I'm preaching to myself here. Probably don't swim. I was at the pool 3 times this week, but I was coaching. So too bad it doesn't like, you know, osmosis and I get the benefits of that, but it is definitely good. Thank you for that question. The strokes that I mostly teach are crawl stroke, which is known as freestyle. And that most of the people I'm working with are trying to do triathlon, so we focus on that. But I don't think it's a bad idea to throw in some other strokes there. I think a lot of people don't always know the other strokes, but it's definitely good to get some swimming in. In terms of how long, I would say if you're going to get there, you're going to change your clothes and everything, get wet. You might as well be there for an hour. 2,000 yards minimum usually for a workout, 2,000, 3,000. If you're just starting, maybe 1,000 to start, but break it up. You don't want to just swim only, just keep swimming laps. It's good to break it up and push yourself and have little breaks, and you're trying to improve your swimming. But it's definitely great for core strength. If you're looking to get nicer arms, it definitely helps with that. And then it lets your legs recover, because you shouldn't be, if you're doing endurance swimming, you shouldn't be kicking a ton. And so that allows your legs to just get some cold water on them, and that's great. And so it's great for recovery. Other things, see, this is the time of year that's sort of known as the off season for triathlon and running, because there's not as many races. And so this is a great time to do your core training, your weight training, and building those muscles back up that you can start using in the race season next year. So I do a lot of that. And that core training and things like that, I'm a believer in like the classics, push-ups, plank, pull-up. Those kind of things can be done at home. You don't even have to go to the gym. If you're not a gym person, that's fine. But if you are a gym person, there's a lot of great machines that you can utilize, like the Stairmaster. You can do elliptical is fantastic to take the jarring off the legs. Maybe if you're a beginner runner, then elliptical is a good way to start. Especially if you have a lot of extra weight on you, elliptical is great because it takes the jarring out of running. So it is pretty good for you. And it mimics the motion. If you're looking for, maybe you're bored with that, try to go backwards a little bit on the elliptical, and that'll throw something new at your legs. You'll be sore. Treadmill is not a bad choice. One thing I will say about treadmill versus outdoors running is that it is different. You are carrying your legs differently. I know for me, my form is a little different. If you've ever hit the end of that treadmill, it's like, ugh. So it's not the same. I shorten my stride a little bit when I run on a treadmill. Plus, I notice my paces are a lot faster on a treadmill than they would be outdoor. It's because it's easier to run on a treadmill in some ways. I think mentally it can be harder because it's a little monotonous, but it is definitely, it's definitely a tool that you can use. I always run on an incline of 2, and I think an incline can be valuable. I think you got to be careful with you know, every so often I'll see, this week I saw a guy on the treadmill and it was like really cranked up. It can put a little strain on your Achilles tendon and your calves. So just be mindful of that. I don't think it's a bad idea to, you know, I usually don't use any incline when I run on the treadmill. Depending on what I'm training for, I guess I sometimes do. But right now I'm just trying to get a leg turnover and just doing some recovery stuff. So not a lot of intensity at this point, just still recovering. So, you know, I would go on the lower incline to, you know, not much really. I think if you're trying to get a lot of strength, then you're going to do that on the bike, or you're going to do it on a stair step. Those are the things that are going to be beneficial there. But definitely changing it up. Another thing that I really enjoy at the gym is the rowing machine. Rowing machine really helps build the lats, the rhomboids, all the back muscles, and that will help with swimming. And this is a great time to do it. It actually works the lower back, which is great for cycling too. So that's definitely, row machine is actually really fun because it will tell you how far you go, and it will show you your pace, and you can, you know, set yourself for 20 minutes and see how many meters you can go in 20 minutes pulling it. And it uses your legs too, but it also, you can do it, there's an option to not use your legs. So, and that's the same with elliptical. You have the option of using your arms on there, which is great too, to use, you know, use more of your body. You're going to burn more calories. That's a good option. Let's jump to outside stuff, because even though it's winter, we can go outside. I wanted to talk just a minute about I'm a big believer in running outside all year. And the reason why is because there's very few races indoor. I mean, there are a few treadmill races, actually, if you believe it or not, but not very many. So most of the time, I want to mimic the race environment I'm going to be racing in. Even though maybe I don't always race in the cold. You never know. You might end up racing in really cold, a lot colder than you want to. So always prepare for it. But I do run differently outside, like I mentioned, and I don't want to change my running patterns too much, because that can affect my hips and my knees, and I don't want to have problems. And so the things that you need for outdoor running would be shoes that are more waterproof. I find there's actually road shoes and trail shoes. I found the trail shoes have more nubbiness, they're more traction, and they also are a little more waterproof. They're not quite as webbed in the front, so they don't let us quite as much water in. So that's a good way to go, is some, you know, and just ask. If you're not sure, ask your store. I really like Wasatch Running Center in my area, and they have a store in Midvale, I believe, Sandy, Midvale, somewhere. And then they also have one in Centerville, which is really close to me. Tell them, if you go in, tell them hi from me, and they'll treat you right. They'll get you in the right shoe for sure. Yes, so trail shoes are going to be good. Another thing is, I really like the Altras. Actually, I'm wearing a pair right now. These particular shoes I really like because, thank you, Sandy at 9400 South. Thank you. Yes, so that's where Wasatch Running is. I really like these because these Altras have this little gator trap. So I like to use little gaiters that hook to the front of my shoelace. They cover my shoelaces and they prevent snow from getting in. I just use short gaiters, you know, like ones you would hike with. But I just use short ones. I think I got mine at REI. They may have them at Wasatch Running. I don't know. I need to check. But definitely gaiters are really good. It's actually really fun to run in the snow, especially if it's fresh snow and it's not like tomorrow's snow might be kind of scary because it's got ice on the bottom because it rains first. But it's actually really great training, because I remember I ran for the University of Utah, and I remember I always seemed to, you know, maybe it's because I was a freshman, and I always seemed to lead the workouts, and they had me lead, and so I had to blaze the trail in the snow when we ran up to the U, and those are pretty deep. It's pretty deep. But you know, it was awesome. We would get such good workout. Our upper quads would be really sore, our hip flexors. I mean, you have to get over that snow. You have to really clear that snow. So it's kind of fun. Sometimes I run in the banks of snow. One, it's less slippery. It really is, because you're sinking in, and it's really good for the body, for the legs. So it's great. It is best to have 2 pairs of those shoes so they can dry and not wear out fast. Yeah, that's a great idea, is to have two pairs of those shoes. And I actually change up my shoes depending on the workout and the footing. So I might use Altras have a 0 drop. I might use a lift on some other shoes. Okay, do your feet get really wet? Or, you know, they sometimes get wet. I mean, well, you're going to get wet some. I mean, you definitely are. There's nothing you can do to get, like, completely dry. But you know what? There is a product that I use. Let me grab it real quick. That I waterproof all my stuff. So I waterproof my shoes too. And this is just a spray. This is fantastic. I've used it in racing too, especially races where I know I'm going to swim. It's going to be cold. I get wet. I spray myself, well, I don't spray in transition. I've already sprayed my stuff before I put it in transition. But so your jacket, I mean, you don't want air going through it to get you colder when you're riding, especially if you've been cold, it's cold, and you've swam in cold water. So this waterproofer is just great to spray on. It helps your shoes stay more waterproof, so you don't get quite as much water in there. And, you know, I haven't had a problem with, your feet will sweat, your feet will swell a little, you are going to get somewhat wet. I think the key is when you get home to get them off and let your feet dry. I also use liquid bandage, so if you have if you really want to produce more of a coat on there. If you have chafing as well, any of the chamois butter type stuff works really good on your feet too, on the tops of your toes or wherever you tend to get blistering. And that's not a bad thing to use in the winter because that moisture and the friction will cause blistering, so you want to prevent that. But this waterproofing is really good. Another thing you need to think about with outdoor running is safety. I'm a big safety girl, and do you run shorter distances in the snow rather than longer ones? You know, I do all. And it really depends. You know, if I feel like it's really treacherous, then I may do both. Sometimes I've warmed up, and I have I have a video clip that I did on warming up indoor on the indoor bike and then running outdoor. Because for me, I don't have a high body fat and I get really cold quickly and I sort of stay cold. And so for me, if I can control my hands not getting as cold or my ears not getting as cold, then I'm usually okay. But if I warm up indoor, not as much as where I'm like sweating profusely and then I go outside and freeze, just enough to break a sweat, get my legs warm, and then run, I run better outside in the winter. So I highly suggest that. I have a video clip on YouTube, and I'll put this on the YouTube, and if you're watching it on YouTube, then you may not see the comments at the bottom, but certainly I do have a clip on that and sharing tips there. Again, back to safety. So you need to be visible. It gets so dark so quickly. I mean, it's like 5 and it's already getting dark outside here. So I really love the Tracer 360 vest. I have it right in my room here. This is my office, so I have all my goodies in here. All right. This Tracer 360 vest, it's just a vest like this, and it actually lights up. I don't think you can see it in here as well. There's all kinds of color choices. It's like a party when you put this on. And I actually have a video clip on Instagram with my little girl, and we were running with it, so it's a really great gift. But I actually have a discount code for it. I'm not here to sell a bunch of stuff, and it's not like I'm getting rich on this stuff either. I'm just wanting you guys to be aware of things that will keep you safe. So this Tracer 360, as you see, it's lights. So you're going to be seeing 360 all around you. Noxgear.com puts it out. Let's see, my code is, what is my code? Blonde Run, all caps with an E. And that'll get you 20% off. But safety, safety, safety. You know, watching your footing. I just wrote an article for the Sports Guide magazine that I think it's coming out this month or maybe next month. I did share running outdoor, and I kind of talk about some of the things we just talked about, but I share a story about a girl that when I ran for Utah State University, I ran for both universities here, she was from Arizona, and she was slipping all over the place. Poor Herb, we called her Herb. She likes herbs. But she slipped a lot when she first started running, and it's because she just went too fast around a corner. So if you're concerned about slipping, just go slower around corners. Or like I said, sometimes I'll run in the banks because sometimes that's better than running on ice, you know, or especially if it's been ice and then it's got snow over it, then it's really slick. So definitely want to be careful with that on the footing. But, you know, if it's too treacherous, I'm not making you go do it. Just go inside. You know, the best times to run outdoor, I think, are when it's lightly snowing, because usually it's warm, and so that's the time to go out. But definitely wear the vest or have a blinking light, or it's not going to hurt to have reflective. I remember driving at night and oftentimes only seeing people by the reflection on their shoes. So scary, scary. Definitely, the more reflection, more lights, more visible you are to cars, the safer. I'm also a sidewalk runner. I don't run in the roads all the time unless I feel like it's safer, but most of the time that's not. Or if I'm running in a big group, maybe. But sidewalks are fine. Sometimes I'll run in people's snow that maybe the sidewalk's not, it's worse, you know. So just be safe. I think that's the most important thing. And do a combination of indoor and outdoor. You know, winter is coming, cold weather. Everyone, no matter, even if you're my friend that lives in San Diego, you do still have cold days. So you have to kind of plan accordingly. I definitely think it's better to get something in than just giving up on it as a whole. You know, get something in. Go anyway. And get your core training in. That always could be done outside or inside. So you could always get that done. Anyway, so I hope that gave you some ideas on winter training, and I'll be sharing some more stuff. I have lots of great ideas of different clips to do on Periscope. But thanks for joining, and I hope to see you again and have a healthy night. Bye-bye.